Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue our discovery journey in learning one more Chinese expression a day. Yesterday, we talked about 一荣俱荣, which is thrive together, because if one of them are thriving, you can tell easily the other ones, like everyone else in the same community are going to be thrive. Now, today, we have the same concept that comes with the structure of 一 and 俱. Actually, these two, 一荣俱荣 and 一损俱损 are often used together to give people the upper hand, and like one is growing, one is 荣 is thriving, 一荣俱荣, but one is going down, 一损俱损. So 损 is this downward going, like this not thriving but contracting or losing. Okay, so we are going to review 一 and 俱. So 一, well, yesterday we have 一荣, right? 荣 is a rising tone, so therefore 一 is downward tone. And here 损 is the third tone. So, I mean, technically, I cannot really explain why it's still 一. Probably because 一荣俱荣 already forms the audio profile of that 一 sound. We don't pronounce it as 一, but we pronounce it as 一 because it paired with 荣. Now we just replace 荣 with 损. So it makes sense to keep the tonation of this 一. And then we just switch out the 荣 with 损. That's the pairing. It's less complicated. It's easier for the human brain to recognize the pattern that we are talking about 一. And then 荣 with 损, just opposing concept. So it's almost like a Chinese would like to give you a clear understanding of something, of this symbiotic relationship between 一 and 俱, right? One is doing something, all the rest of them, you can tell they are the same, on the same plane. So basically, if you're living a good life, all of the people in your community are supposed to doing well as well. And if you in your family or community are not doing well, the rest of them are going to be impacted. So it's a network, right? It's a network interconnected. And so one do something, everybody else is doing, going down the similar track. So we, okay, 一 keeps this fallen tone. And 一 is the simplest Chinese character, just one horizontal line. That means one. That's the starting point. And actually, in Chinese ancient philosophy, when we write the first three characters, three numbers, 1, 2, 3, right? So we have one line, two line, and three line. And this one line is supposed to be the sky. Second line is the ground, the earth. Heaven, earth, human is the third line. That's later on attached meaning to it. Okay. 一 become 一, okay. 损, we have a 5-finger hand symbol, which have a middle finger bend toward the right. So I finally recently got a revelation of why the middle finger bend toward the right to make a human hand, because we have the same structure, but the middle finger bend toward the left, which means the fur, or the hair of something. So the horizontal lines are not exactly fingers anymore. They are the fur, the hairs. So that means multitudes of them. So they share kind of a similar, they end up in the evolution of this visual character of concepts. They end up kind of converging and become too similar looking. So I guess at some point people decide, okay, we bend toward the left, that means hair or fur. We bend toward the right, that means a human figure. No confusion there. But this is only when pairing these two characters next to each other, then I realize, okay, that's a later on added stroke to make sure there's no confusion with the fur or the hair symbol. Okay, 5-finger hand symbol. The right side is, there are multiple explanations. So one version is this is a food container. So this is like a pot, okay? Same looking like this, right? But with 2 legs, or the stand of the food, of the pot. So that's the ancient food container. And the horizontal lines, we can view it as almost the decorations, because if you visit museums that do have a collection of East Asia ancient artifacts, okay, artifacts is a lot of them. If it's from Shang Dynasty, you will see this carved bronze containers, and I guess it's a extensive cookware, either it's cooking or food containing purpose. That's elaborate, got a lot of icons carved into it, and so there was this technology that's in multitudes later on. Because it's made in bronze, so that's why we have a big collection like we can find nowadays, unlike probably some other ancient artifacts that are like rotten away, but the bronzeware stay with us. And this is depicting that kind of shape, bronzeware. And the horizontal line, I mean, the circle, the oval shape is actually the top-down view of this this container to show you this is the opening of the container. So the whole thing is a container. And because it's highly decorated, I don't know how costly that was when it was manufactured. It seems like still today it's a mysterious process. How, because in today's world, we cannot really reproduce the same artifact like before. So there were some technology knowledge gap right there. And later generations of Chinese don't make that anymore. So that only exists, I don't know, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, maybe 3,000 years ago is closer. So over a period of time in history of Chinese, that elaborately not carved, the whole thing was molded. The whole piece molded with elaborate surface designs that tell story, or show the family name or attribute to something. That's the way. Like for ancient times, that's a big piece of. I don't think the significance of that cookware is the same as the contemporary cookware, like a mass-produced cookware. That's even if you got like something made in Italy, it's still like it could be like expensive or everyday use. But in ancient times, that's quite a I would imagine that's quite an endeavor to make something as permanent as that, and as a metal piece, doesn't rot, right? So that's like a count. Eventually use this as a count of some I guess value or worthy enough to be countable. So if we want to count our assets, right? How many things in your household you want to keep, that treasure pieces that you don't want to throw away when you move. That's this concept, like that's one piece that you would count. It's worthy of even counting. Okay, so we have the hand symbol, which kind of like indirectly signify a person, right? Because it's human hand, and human hand means a human labor. And the right side is this valuable enough asset. It's a things as a count of that thing. So both the human and the thing that are valuable enough to be counted. So these are basically visual representation of two types of resources that are useful for the the language user or the governors or the rulers of this land, who have to manage the resources either in terms of labor, the human input, or in terms of tools or assets or resources. So both of them are two types of resources, right? One is mobile, one is immobile, one is human, one is tools. That eventually to mean things you're going to use. So you're definitely going to use the tools, but you also use humans as well. So they are, I'm not going to say like a dispensable, but they are the things in your resource category going to be used up eventually. So that extends into this loose, like that's your asset. That's going to, I guess, amortized, like in contemporary accounting term, amortized. Okay, 句, again, we have this human figure on the left side, and we have a left and right hand from the bottom of the screen. That means both hands are holding the food container. So food container can sit on a food stand, or it can be held by two hands, right? So that's a time when the food is ready. And that's a time when dinner is ready for families to gather around. So this gathering around the food creates the visual image of all the head counts in your household are going to gather together around food. And that's the concept of all, because of all the moments in your everyday life, that's the moment when all of them are going to show up for food. Okay, so that's one. 一损俱损, that's the opposite, the flip of yesterday's 一荣俱荣. That means if one losing, everybody is losing, lose together. So it's another concept of things are going well together or going bad together. This one and two, they are one of the community. So one is live well, all of them are going the same direction. So that shows the interactive, like how one person and that person's environment are going to be sort of synchronously going in terms of how well they're doing. So I guess I'm picking this image to show the horses, the wild horses feeding on this peaceful, idyllic place that also illustrated image of lose together. I mean, same as win together or thrive together. If the environment is nice, and then the horses are going to thrive. And if you see the horses are dying, something wrong with the environment as well. So that's how interconnected things are. Okay, there we go. 一损俱损. Cash into the consecutive thinking by one more today with Sophie.